They made fun of him, the janitor carrying a mop, who had better intellect than the organization's highest-level engineers. Everyone refused to believe he had problem-solving abilities since he was just the janitor. What? The others failed to realize a man they overlooked would single-handedly prevent the company from facing its greatest catastrophe. James is an employee who never fit in at the massive tech company that operated as a glass and steel tower in the city center. The rest of the office workers used their days to deal with meetings and coding and deadlines, but James occupied small, solitary spaces which nobody else thought about. And such spaces included hallways as well as stairwells and office floors after everyone else was gone. The office quieted down after 6 p.m. while fluorescent lights continued their weak buzz. Something unexplainable happened to James. During these silent periods, the bucket filled with water swayed beneath James's wrist as his worn rag peeked out of his pocket while he glided effortlessly among the cubicles. As a cleaner, James performed more than his duties because he watched others carefully. The carpet displayed subtle scuff marks together with crumbs found under furniture, and the unexpected chair tilt managed to draw his complete attention. The subtleties appearing before James's eyes were factored as meaningless by other people as they disregarded them easily. Every small thing passed through James's eyes to reveal stories. Disordered papers together with the blinking lights of computers sitting abandoned revealed hidden secrets about the company in the silence. The majority of people had no knowledge of his identity. The majority thought he was an unreal background person, a spectator who existed outside of importance. They moved past him without double-looking, their mental focus distracted by their work-related turmoil and scheduled activities. The executives, together with the engineers who worked on high-stakes projects, never thought that the silent janitor who passed their legs each evening was noticing the things they were missing, although James had certain abilities. He carried a special gift of patience, combined with investigative nature, combined with extreme attention to detail. He spotted patterns no one else saw, minor equipment setting mistakes, unusual printout data discrepancies, hidden signs of inefficiency inside plain sight. The small deviations connected together in his mind released the representation of a much larger problem that surpassed anyone's individual ability to recognize at the beginning. The engineers saw disorder because James found directions to critical information. His actions were measured and deliberate. He accessorized with simplicity. James watched from afar while writing down every unusual situation in his mind's notebook, which created links between dots unknown to others. No one in the office noticed him, but he had started to recognize a developing pattern in which one large problem silently drained millions from the company and endangered both current deadlines and available resources and the reputation of a supposedly foolproof project. James was hidden behind the mop bucket and janitorial uniform, but his intellect was enough to solve problems engineers could not break through. The cleaner did more than his job duties. James silently worked through piles of documents and digital files and office equipment to discover important information whose battle for attention would be revealed, yet no one knew about its upcoming arrival. And that moment, unknown to the company, was coming soon, a moment that would change everything. James went forward through the vacant corridors while knowing what awaited him at the end of his path. Each sweep of the mop and every silent move helped him approximate the full scale of the situation. The office remained secretive in the silence, while its savior already moved through its premises in silence. A heartfelt, full investment occurred for a software project of great magnitude inside company history. Developers and engineers worked tirelessly to build an industry-transforming product while consuming caffeine and working under intense deadlines. When they devoted their spell through testing, coding, and debugging, the problem persisted. Each system crash happened whenever they moved towards launching the product. The supposed technological wonder, known as the software, harshly failed to deliver its promised potential while making the whole workspace feel anxious, bewildered, and panicky. Meetings stretched through the entire day while multiple whiteboards carried numerous scribbles, and engineers climbed back and forth through the corridors like buzzed creatures looking for answers. Months passed with every solution they implemented, only finding new ways to extend the problem. Growing tension from executives demanding outcomes combined with imminent deadlines and skyrocketing stress. The project looked ready for cancellation, though no one could determine its exact snag yet. Though the engineers demonstrated expertise and the code reached high advancement levels, the persistent failed to vanish. The problem seemed unstoppable in their path. As a janitor who moved stealthily through the office at night, James maintained his schedule after dark hours. Coming home after the staff had left behind only the computer murmurs and screen flares was what James observed. When James did his cleaning, he also detected shapes and small defects alongside unusual signs that others missed. While doing his late-night rounds, James spotted a small but repetitive pattern in the system logs, such a fine detail that seasoned engineers themselves hadn't given thought to. At initial observation, it looked like a minor issue that was hilarious in hindsight. The problem that surfaced was not a typical coding defect known to both programmers and conventional debugging tools. The problem he encountered did not involve a missing character for statement termination, nor a programming mistake that would immediately alert any software developer. The apparently minor database misconfiguration concealed an important issue no one had bothered to verify. James saw the important answer to the problem in this tiny flaw because of his unusual point of view. James took a moment to gather his bravery and went to talk to the engineering team the following day. He brought notes along with him which showed the specific pattern he found while investigating the logs. "Through here, I believe the problem exists," he said, showing the important data entries one by one. The confidence of seeing how the different parts had gathered into a complete picture filled his voice, even though his tone remained steady. The engineers stopped for a moment, looked towards him, and then burst into laughter. It was just because they were not able to believe it. One of them remarking with laughter, "You are simply a janitor. We take care of the tech issues, you stay with the floor mopping or trash disposal." James stayed silent. This was what he expected. Expert professionals remained completely unable to understand how a person like him could see what they themselves couldn't see. James refused to let their reactions make him lose his focus. He discovered something significant, and he realized that choosing to ignore it would allow the problem to persist while draining both company resources and damaging corporate reputation. Walking back to his supplies without being noticed, he pledged to discover an alternative, a way to force them to listen. His clandestine weapon remained a small technical fault, an unnoticed aspect which functioned as a secret control thread that might entirely disassemble the complex knot of disorder that engineers had struggled to control for many months. A powerful insight came to the invisible janitor during that instant. Seeing elements unknown to others surpasses the significance of acquiring educational credentials alongside attaining senior leadership roles in organizational positions. A storm brewed in the office's data while James remained silent to assume his unexpected role as a hero with valuable insight that might prevent disaster but needed attention first. When people encounter persistent rejection and skepticism, they tend to stop trying. They walked away because they thought that what they were doing was a lost cause. James proved to be different from most of the others. He recognized an essential element, a fiber that evaded the attention of others and refused to let it disappear. The workday might end and the office might be quiet, but he returned for his observations to take place. He carefully recorded all information, repeats, odd things, minor discrepancies that might appear trivial yet. His work went beyond writing notes. He made thorough records and photographs alongside drawings that showed how each small abnormality linked into a bigger issue. Every evening he improved his report to make it evident and indisputable. The janitor in silence was building an anonymous detective identity by discovering details other people lacked the time to notice. He believed that revealing the truth depended on getting somebody to explore it, because then he knew it would become unmistakable. One night, after all employees had left for the day and the dark computer. Monitors lit the office James stayed behind past his reserved time. James's mop remained untouched in a corner while he cross-checked every note from his examination of logs and screenshots. He selectively marked a small database misconfiguration. Its existence served as the cause of multiple system failures. James lasted through multiple hours of continuous work. This cleaning job transcended basic floor maintenance for James, since he was dedicated to fixing an issue which harmed everyone, even if unacknowledged by them. His relentless pursuit finally bore fruit. A new team member, who was a young engineer and was willing to admit his lack of full knowledge, stumbled upon James's detailed report on the desk. Intrigued by the documents, he picked them up to explore their content. When he examined it further, he discovered James had found something the rest of the team members had missed. They found a small misconfiguration which was clearly visible, but had caused the company to experience failures that lasted for months. The solution displayed pure simplicity, which confirmed that the simplest solution often proves to be the best solution. The senior team received the engineer's report early the following day. The system immediately started functioning properly after the misconfiguration was fixed. A company staff member with underestimated reputation and documented careful eyes helped solve months of system issues within minutes. An in-depth team discovered that the launch, which had become uncertain, was now heading toward victory. The project met its initial goals after the team saved millions of dollars and completed their work by its deadlines. James stayed off the radar during the office's festive activities. A quiet janitor who solved the biggest company problem was beginning to have his story told. James demonstrated something fundamental. Real insight emerges from focused observation, combined with patient dedication and determined persistence, regardless of workplace recognition. James, our janitor, did something everybody thought was impossible. His quick thinking stopped a potentially disastrous business setback, which would have erased numerous work hours valued at millions. But still, most of the public failed to completely recognize James's silent heroism. Uncertain whispers spread among people who thought he had achieved his success because of luck. People could not understand how a janitor whom they had ignored during their daily travels could have the intelligence to resolve complex problems confounding expert engineers. The management team lacked direction between their appreciation and official protocol requirements in their attempt to recognize his contributions. How do people give respect to those who operate without earning official status, or those who produce results that remain hidden to the eye? Strange smiles and polite nods and delicate congratulations started the process. James' remarkable achievements transcended any formal recognition or title his company could provide. On the night he cleaned floors, he actually fixed several months of misdirection and lost work by applying his mental acuity and careful observations along with his perseverance. Yet, with the passing of time, the story started to circulate. Critiques against him no longer had a choice but to face what they ignored. The days of his observations, along with his determination, made all the difference. The engineers who had mocked him became the first to reach out to him. But in the beginning, there was hesitation because pride struggled against honest admission of truth. Then the apologies arrived with true humility, along with genuine sincerity. The team admitted their mistake by saying, "We were wrong." It was James who saw what we couldn't, and we are gratefully indebted to him. Recognition reached James when it was past time to give it. Rather than a mere formal acknowledgement or pat on the back, they showed real feelings for his abilities, his patience, and the courage he exhibited by pushing forward. In addition to his work as a janitor who maintained office cleanliness, James became recognized as a problem solver and keen observer who achieved personal hero status. The people discovered insight does not always originate from titles or degrees, because vital information stems from the unassuming areas of daily existence. The story of his life motivated a substantial amount of personnel within the organization because it teaches how wisdom and careful observation can emerge from places that nobody expects. The lesson was clear and powerful. Never underestimate someone. Daily tasks like sweeping floors, office organizing, and subtle, unobtrusive work can reveal observations that remain invisible to everybody else. Workers who stay out of the spotlight grasp the bigger picture through silent, dedicated efforts. Through their silent efforts, they bring about moments that expert professionals fail to accomplish. During his travels, James taught people that true worth depends on personal insight alongside determined grit and brave behavior, rather than leadership status or public recognition. He reveals that society tends to overlook silent heroes who make giant impacts by taking small steps forward. Personal recognition didn't drive him. He wanted to discover insights that drive thoughtful human understanding, which brought him to action. Such lessons extend beyond the boundaries of any workplace environment. When someone seems unimportant, or when their voice falls silent, don't forget James, our janitor whom we credited for rescuing his own company, demonstrated that genuine attention beyond whatever superficial levels we give to people as we casually scan them transforms everything. If this story brought you joy, hit the like button and subscribe now for more motivational stories. Then make sure you spread its message through sharing the video to show that heroes come in various sizes and forms and clothing.